starting off with a clock source. Because we're trying to keep it rhythmic and we've got two different rigs to synchronise, we're using the ERM MIDI clock. That is then going out to the Future Retro Swinks. Normally I use that to add a bit of swing to my 606 drum machine, but the only reason we're using that tonight is that it sends out 16th clock notes and it also sends out a reset trigger, so we can reset all of the envelopes, all of the clocks. We don't use the swing on that tonight, but it's mainly there to provide a steady clock to both rigs and to give a reset so that we both reset at the same time. Once it goes from there, it then goes into this 4MS QCD, which is a quad clock distributor, which is why we need all of the resets and all of the clocks. Because of this, everything stays rhythmic and in time. You can change the clock divisions so that rather than on the 16ths, you can have it playing on thirds. But then, because you've got a reset going in there, it'll reset the start of each bar so that it stays rhythmical all the way through the patches. Well, tonight we're using the Buchla. Well, normally we have different sequences when we play, but the Buchla's got its own sequencer inside it. I'm not using the Buchla sequencer to sequence the Buchla itself. I'm sending the voltage out into a Synovatron CVGT1, which converts the Buchla voltage into the standard Eurorack voltage. So that sequencer is actually controlling the Eurorack. The Buchla, I'm just going to control it from its keyboard. But because it's getting a rhythmic clock from the QCD, I could just hold my finger down and it plays a nice rhythmic bass line without having to actually lift my fingers up. So it looks like I'm playing, but I'm not. And then I can change the clock speed, and then it stands I'm playing a different bass line. So it's all about looking like you're doing something when you're not really doing it.
I suppose Gavin generally does all of the melody, and I'm doing all of the percussion. I mean, to begin, I've got my Miami plugged in to the ERM MIDI clock as well, so I just get sync from that. And then my system comes from the accent output in. It just goes straight into Circadian, which is really just used for envelopes and whatnot. But I've got two of these guys, they're pattern generators. Straight away, if I bump that, you can see we get more here. So they're probability based. That's the Zilaric and this is the Numeric. Both are kind of slightly different. But I mean, the Miami does all the 808 kind of action, and then a dinky 808 snare, peaks. Yeah, and they're all for percussion. The Galileo Moon, Jupiter Storm do hi-hats. This is a weird bleepy, zappy kind of thing. And then the Akimi's doing like an FM pad, which comes in every now and again.
So is like one row kind of one voice of...
I mean, this is the percussion bits, that's the hi-hats. This is the bleepy thing, so yeah. And I mean, the cases, I leave them like that and I can take a section and bring it somewhere or whatever.
So in terms of effects, what have you got going on and how are you kind of doing that stuff?
A timeline. Don't normally use this, but because we're using a MIDI clock, that takes a nice MIDI clock so you can get some rhythmic delays. Also using the Blue Sky reverb. It's really nice and simple. One knob does one thing, so you ain't got to worry about presets.
They just on sends on the mixer then?
Sends on the mixer. I'm also using the MIDI Murph, which is one of my favourite effects pedals. You can send it clocks from the QCD. Everything comes from the QCD. So I can change the rhythm of that, and then I just bung it on insert channels on various voices to add a bit of variety to things.
When we started doing shows together with the three of us, we were all on top of each other. But now I just do the drums. Gavin just does the melody. Phil does the other stuff.
You learn to have a bit of sympathy for what the other person's doing. So if they come up with something interesting, you tend to pull back what you're doing, let that breathe for a bit, and the more you play together, the more confident you get. So you don't rush into things and just sort of let it breathe a little bit more, which I think because we played together so long before we set London Modular up, we had a little bit of that sympathy going, and the more we play, hopefully...
The more sympathetic we get.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's a core thing, just staying out of each other's way because we're doing different things. So
we all come from the same musical background. The reason we got together was that we were all into electro. So Drexciya, the old type of electro, and that's how we became friends. So we all come from similar musical backgrounds. Although we all produce different types of music, we've all got the same...
So it's all good. Whatever's Gavin doing, he just keeps doing it. That's fine with me.
And to be quite honest with you, you're so busy worrying about what you're doing, you're not really listening to what they're doing enough to criticise it. You're just waiting for a part when you think, actually, I'll slip something in there.